I'm going to be on AI real quick.
Oh, cheater.
Finding questions that people might have for videographers, filmmakers, writers,
Things like that.
producers, directors,
That makes sense.
that kind of thing, so that we all we have a
Ample.
What are the
something.
most common questions beginners ask?
Oh, I need to. Oh, were you able to log back into the Wi-Fi?
Wi-Fi. Where we don't have
Then he
Wi-Fi?
changed the name of the
I
Wi-Fi.
changed the name of the
and
Wi-Fi.
Didn't tell anybody.
Oh, no wonder. I
And
don't
he
have.
kicked us all off.
No, I don't know the Wi-Fi.
He got tired of our mooching.
Yeah, I'm not connected.
I like
should
that
be-
shirt, Vinny.
Thank you. I was actually looking at that today. I think it's
Saddlebred.
LL Bean.
Oh, you changed it to RenVision Media?
Yeah,
Lullabean.
LL Bean.
Lullabean. What do you think LL stands for?
LL Bean's the password?
No,
No.
the password is Northverse 916.
North Verse 916.
916.
Okay,
Okay.
here we go.
Here we go.
I hope I formatted all these cards because there was some stuff on some of them, but I think I did.
Incorrect password.
Incorrect. So do not capitalize any of it.
Okay.
Northverse. Verse is spelled VERSE 916.
916.
Most
Verse.
Most
Sounds like a cool word. North Verse. This is the North Verse.
was
Incorrect password.
What the hell?
Here, you can do it.
Let's see. What's it doing here? RenVision Media. $9.16. Oh, I think I got it.
what'd you do different?
I didn't.
You just
I
said
bet.
it.
I bet his thumb was just
Yeah,
hitting
probably
You just
wrong
said it
letter.
in English.
on accident.
misspelled something.
Don't listen to this guy. These guys.
All right. So, first question ChatGPT threw at us was, how do you approach a new project? Cinematographers often talk about their creative process when starting a new project. They might discuss how they work with a director, script analysis, visual themes, and mood.
Yeah, I mean, from a visual element, that's an important thing. You know, I guess that's where the obviously the complement of writing to screen is kind of, I guess that's where you start. But how is it like when I say, let's say for the mattress commercial, when you read it, how do you visualize that in your head? Because everybody has a different image, you know. So
I come up with shots.
Okay.
Like as
Yeah.
you're telling me the script and all that stuff, in my head I'm coming up with like shots. It's like this need to be a close up, wide angle, you know, all that kind of stuff.
When you, which we've looked at that, and I know that I think people recognize what's going on. They might not be able to explain its purpose, but do you try to use particular framing as a way, like we said the other day, to elicit some sort of subconscious, like, emotional response to it? Like, why do certain things work better than others when in a shot?
I don't know. Sometimes it's just, well, for me, when I am reading a script, I kind of close my eyes and visualize what do I see. And whenever I try to write that down or draw it out.
And you're
Best
actually
I
pretty
can.
good at that too.
And then from there, I can decide why did I think of it this way?
Yeah.
Why is that important?
Okay.
And then could we make it better, or can it be better?
Yeah,
and
like
and then go from there.
obviously when I'm writing, I already have an image in my head. And from when I write something, I'm trying to figure out, especially for the sake of a screen, I'm trying to figure out the best way I can condense as much information in a scene as possible. So, like, I'm trying to think of ways that I can sort of draw a connection to a person's environment. Like the other day, I'm writing the screenplay I'm working on now. Like I have to keep in mind, like, what I'm seeing on this image. For instance, like some light was casting in a window in the lead character for the thing I'm writing right now. But I was trying to elicit this idea that this person is not in the light at her particular stage in life. And so I wanted to just sort of slowly push her just outside of the light. And so I'm trying to draw like sort of kind of, I guess, sort of symbolic interaction, I guess, if you want to say, like, that somebody can look at it and say, oh, I actually see that there's a deeper meaning here behind this, which maybe it's not so easy to do with commercials. You know what I mean?
I mean, a commercial it's more on the head, on the nose. But you can still play around with it and have fun with it like we've done with a couple of our past commercials and our upcoming commercials. We take a more narrative, fun approach to it. But there's not a whole lot of deep depth that goes into it. It's pretty straightforward.
Just comedy. But that works. It works.
All right. Did you have anything else you wanted to expand on that? No. All right. That one's a pretty broad question.
Pretty broad.
Okay. This one's more for Miguel and I.
Okay.
What's your preferred camera equipment and why?
Well, from what I've used, my preferred, it also depends on the project, because if it was up to me, I would use my Red Komodo, but it does use a lot of memory. So, like, for something like a podcast, you're not going to need a Red.
No, imagine trying to use a Red Komodo for this
right now. Bizarre.
Red is for pretty much something like a higher end production, like commercial work, film, all that stuff. But that's my favorite camera, but it's not a camera that I see myself using as much as I do other cameras.
All right, so let me narrow that down, because I'm trying to think of, for myself included, if you had to have one camera to shoot everything on, whether that's run and gun stuff, podcasts, corporate events, commercials, all of that, what one camera would you pick?
My Sony FX3.
The FX3? I feel like that's the common answer for a lot of people.
Why is that? Because I've seen, obviously, for years, like, people just really, really, really liked Sony. And still do, obviously. But, like, I remember kind of seeing when Canon, the DSLR game, and then Sony gets into the mirrorless game, it just seemed like for a long time that's what people were talking about, the FX7 and the FX3, things like that. What is it about Sony that y'all like so much?
Low light.
That's
the biggest thing.
Low light's the main reason I run Sony. If it wasn't for low light, I would be running Canon, because I like their colors better and it's easier to edit.
Okay.
But nowadays all cameras shoot log, so you can pretty much match colors.
A lot of people talk about color, but I mean, Sony, you can literally match any color to make it look like a Sony camera or Canon color, whatever. The biggest thing is the low light, I think.
Is that like when you talk in color, you're talking about obviously like essentially the color science within the camera itself and how it interprets?
The sensor, what it's coated with, and all of that has a certain color to it.
Why
the
do
way
they?
It's interpreted.
Why is there not I'm sure there is maybe there's not a standard. Why is there not a standard color science camera to camera?
Because I think each brand has their own take on it. Just like Apple, they're different in certain ways than Samsung and all of that. They all have their own style, and that's kind of how it is with Canon. That's why some people pick Canon and versus Sony. Some people are like, well, I like the Sony colors better or the Canon colors better. Yeah. It really doesn't matter a whole lot if you can shoot log. And if you're shooting raw, I know Canon can shoot raw. It really doesn't matter a whole lot.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not too worried about the color science. It does help sometimes, though. I mean, like, there's some projects I'll do where I'm like, I don't want to have to mess with the color too much. And a lot of times having a good image out of camera helps with that, especially like a podcast. I don't grade the footage as much as I do with other stuff. So color science does help. I'm more of a Canon guy, but I haven't had enough experience with the Sony yet to pick the Sony. But I would just based on what I've seen from other people, I would probably pick the FX3 as well.
See, I'll learn some things from you.
All right, what lens? 24 to 70?
50.
50 mil?
50
really?
Mil. For me, I feel like it's the lightest, and most of my stuff isn't like where the camera's set in a single spot.
Yeah.
So I like to have something that's small and compact and that I can take anywhere, and pretty much any 50 millimeter.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like the perfect or the middle ground. So
It's like an industry standard
Yeah,
as far
pretty
as
much.
films and stuff. Most of it's shot within that 40 to 50 millimeter range. 35. I would probably pick the 24 to 70 just because the versatility. It's such a beast, even though you're having a higher aperture.
right.
Is that the drawback?
Yeah, usually zoom lenses have higher apertures, whereas prime lenses can have really low apertures, and you get that buttery smooth look.
And they're better in low light as well.
All right.
You ever see certain directors that y'all like that stick to certain lenses that fall outside of that range? Like when I see a Terrence Malick movie, he uses wide lenses and it creates just this really kind of weird distorting effect. And
Yeah,
I've always
there's a
liked
lot.
that.
I mean, it's interesting to see some directors do have a preference on their look.
Yeah.
A lot of it does come from the lenses. I know with some of the Dune movies, they use some really old lenses from the 60s that are actually really cheap.
Yeah.
You can get a hold of them. Now they've gone up in price because of the fact that they
Yeah.
used them. Yeah. But
And
it's interesting.
yeah, those are like photography lenses actually, but they rehouse them. They pretty much take it all apart and only keep the glass and I think the iris blades. And they just make a whole new lens body for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they make it like a cinema lens where they add the gears and all that stuff. And but yeah, they use the what do they call Helios lenses.
Yeah. So see, I saw somebody use an old Helios lens last year. I wanted to buy one because it looks.
We have one in the.
You do? It's because it's got the spherical,
the
oval sort of bokeh.
Yeah.
Like it's really cool looking.
Those and then the anamorphics. But anamorphics, I will say, are very situational. It depends on the feel you're going for, because that, like a commercial, you probably wouldn't want an anamorphic. And a lot of cinematographers will use an anamorphic for like a few shots.
Yeah.
Like a wide shot of something, or
Like
a
J.J.
certain
Abrams.
shot adds an interesting feel to it. But then there's some directors that like to use just the RE prime lenses, which are $100,000 lenses.
It's crazy.
So it's interesting to see. And I don't think any of them benefit or outweigh any of the other ones. I think it's all subjective when it comes to that style.
What would make a lens cost so much money? That's crazy.
So everything that's considered an artifact within a lens, RE has done the best at taking all of those artifacts away. So everything you get when you look through a piece of glass, you have chromatic aberration, which is that purple.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a different color too. Like when you are shooting in direct sunlight at a tree and you see all the purple outlining, that's chromatic aberrations
as well.
Take all that away. Flares, they can take those away.
Vignetting.
Yeah.
Vignetting and focus breathing is a huge one. Like when you're pulling focus and you see your image doing this,
Yes.
RE doesn't do that. It immediately just focuses in without changing your image. And that's the biggest money play when it comes to.
And that's a huge difference when it comes to cinema lens versus your regular photo lenses that can be used in video.
Gotcha.
Because photo lenses, you really don't have to worry about focus breathing, because obviously it's just a picture and,
Sure.
But when it comes to video, you can tell where that difference is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never even thought about it. So would you say are RE primes, are they like the premier lens?
They are as far as clean images, like perfect image, they are the top of the line.
Dang.
But because some people like to have character, chromatic aberrations, flares, bowing, all of that has an effect. And because it's been used in so many movies in the past, that people like to bring them back to give that same feeling in their movies.
Gotcha.
So I think a lot less people are using the REs because they realize that it doesn't matter how clean your image is. It's about the effect that it's essentially
for sure
going for. All right. What role does color play in your cinematography? We actually kind of talked about that earlier.
Yeah, because I even when I write, I have to consider color. There's something that there's a book that I read on cinematography where it historically purple is a sign that is something that you use for an impending death. So people kind of grow you kind of look at some of the old tales like Little Red Riding Hood, things like that. You begin to play around with certain ideas where color really impacts someone's understanding, because obviously whether it's black or white, red, blue, there is an emotion there. So that seems like it's pretty much.
A lot of it's very trend oriented.
Yeah. See, I'm not a
kind
big
of interesting to see.
I'm not a big fan of the orange and blue type of thing.
Teal and orange.
The teal and orange. I'm not.
The two-tone. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that very much.
It's kind of phased out a little bit. They've gone to more of a deeper green.
Yeah.
Like a warmer green tone, which I think was probably started from the Joker movie. They really went with.
I like the color.
They
really went
in Joker.
hard
I never,
on that,
I told you I never finished it, but it is shot beautifully. I mean, it's kind of like when we were talking about the Batman. Didn't Batman use a Helios lens?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
They actually used broken helio lenses.
Really?
The cinematographer, Greg Fraser, he actually said they went to a rental house and they asked for their worst lenses that they had.
Yeah.
And he actually showed a scene in the movie where if you look at the bottom left, you can tell it's like just completely distorted compared to the rest of the frame. And he said that was a part of the lens that was kind of like cracked or something like that. I'm not too sure about it, but I know that he did say about the lens being like really bad.
Yeah.
And that was the whole point because he even would dirty up the lens too. Yeah, just to give it more, because what his goal was to make Gotham like a bad place. Dirty place. Yeah. Everything. Yeah.
That's what it is.
So that's how he did that.
I think it's cool that the higher up you go and the more experienced you get as a cinematographer, the more you don't care about.
Yeah, you break
and
rules.
then you can play into the story.
Yeah.
Your lens can reflect the story, which is so strange. Whereas I feel like new beginners are so worried about having the highest quality.
Yeah.
Making
stuff.
everything perfect.
Yeah.
That was something like getting into the screenwriting stuff for me. A lot of the people I knew that had a lot more success with screenwriting and still do, they're obviously very big on learning your form and technique. They'll say, learn the rules so that you can break them later on and develop your own style. Grab that.
Take this call real
Oh, look at there.
Money.
Yeah, now here we are. See what he's doing. I wonder if that's some money.
Let's hope so.
I hope so. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
If not, who's going to keep the lights on?
Yeah. Let's see. Let me grab this. Screw you, Vinny. But maybe it is money. I don't blame him. This isn't making money. Jeez,
Yeah.
Definitely need to get. All right. Let's see. Where did we get to? Let's think about what role does color play in your cinematography? How do you collaborate? So how do you collaborate with the director? Cinematographers often explain how they work with directors to achieve a unified vision, discussing the importance of communication, trust, and understanding the director's vision. So, which I guess for you, you've just kind of been the captain of your own ship.
Yeah, so since I do mainly event stuff and all that, so I'm pretty much, I guess, in charge of everything.
Yeah.
So, but when I do work, like, for example, when we did the music video with Blake and Vincent, so Blake was in charge of that. So, I mean, to see to bring his vision to life, I mean, I said, no, this is, probably the best lens we have. This will give us the best color, camera-wise, and just tell me what you want, like, movement-wise, what type of shots you want, and, I'll incorporate that into what I do.
Which video was that?
It was a music video we did for Clayton.
Yeah.
And we filmed at the skate park in Coleman.
Okay, so you had a hand in that. Very cool. I
Yeah.
think maybe I knew that. Maybe I knew it because I really liked what y'all came
Actually,
up
that
with.
was the first project I worked with them on.
Yeah, it looks
Yep.
cool. I mean, y'all did a good job because, like, I need to get better at that, obviously, being around Blake and Vinny because I know directors have certain visions. Like, that's what's crazy. When you write something, you generally know, like, well, unless I'm directing this, then I don't really actually get the say in terms of how this is presented.
Yeah, and, like, communication is a huge thing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and, like, you also gotta, I guess, respect who's in charge.
For
you know,
sure.
because like you can do things completely different, but sometimes that's not what the director wants.
Yeah.
So if you start putting your or butting heads, that just
Yeah, it falls apart.
everything falls apart.
Yeah, when we
You're
did
not
the
doing your
thing,
best, and the director's not doing their best because So communication is a huge deal when it
Yeah.
comes to stuff like that. And some directors, they actually are like, here's a story. I trust you. You film it the way you want it.
Yeah, you think about like all of like we talked about that a couple weeks ago with like Roger Deakins and the Coen brothers, just how much trust they develop with
Yes.
one another as they just it becomes second nature. They're like, I think I have a feeling as far as how he'd go about this. So like, when we did the commercial, the first one, the horror themed mattress commercial, it was like that. Obviously having written it, I was just like, well, I mean, I just kind of stepped back. I didn't really feel very comfortable giving feedback, but we did do a short film, me and another group a couple years ago, and I was not as involved in the vision, and it didn't turn out the way I wanted it. So that's where I feel like you have to almost, as a writer, sometimes kind of force your way into the producing role, because you ultimately know, like, there is a reason I'm doing this, and I do see it. Like with the mattress commercial, like you said, there are different ways that you can film. And I guess maybe I would have done different things, but overall it worked really, really well. And so you just have to say, hey, together, regardless of the changes you would make, does the product work? It's like, yeah, it does. So step back. But I want to get better at telling y'all to do better. Just kidding.
All right, well.
You missed it.
Yeah.
Talking about collaboration between, director, cinematographer, things like that. Like how you don't really, you want to avoid stepping on each other's toes. Because, you and Blake do that. That's the last couple times that y'all have done some things together for commercials. How do y'all not get in each other's way?
I feel like Blake and I are pretty respective of the role that we decide on or give each other for a project. Like this past one, I was director, and the one before that he was. So everything was run by him. If I had an idea, I asked him before I decided to go ahead and do it. And I feel like he relies on my expertise when it does come to certain things. So he will just say, hey, if you think of something, just go ahead and do it. And then this past time, he had certain lighting ideas, and I was like, well, I think this will work better. So he was completely fine with going in that direction. I think I think we work really well together when it comes to that. Maybe we're just lucky.
Yeah.
And maybe we haven't run into a scenario where
you just have
where
like
we
a
might butt heads.
severe creative difference. I mean, I don't know. That seems like a dastardly experience.
What does?
I'd hate to butt heads on a set when you're just crunch time,
Top movies of 2024.
haven't even
haven't
seen any.
Put that cord up somewhere.
Discord?
No. Yeah. There you go. That's fine.
Why don't you like it the other way?
It's just unattractive, to be honest with you.
Just exactly. Just hanging there.
Favorite movies?
Favorite movies. I got a few.
There Will Be Blood.
For sure.
Can't tell you how many times I've heard you say that.
Well, how many times have you watched
It's
it?
starting to piss me off.
How many times have you watched it?
Enough?
None.
Not enough.
None
I
times.
don't have to watch it. I have you
Zero.
telling me about it all day.
Well, it teach you a lot. Gladiator's a good one. I love Gladiator. Godfather Part 2. Chinatown. It's a wonderful one.
Classics.
Yeah. Definitely.
Godfather or Godfather Part 2?
2.
2?
2 for sure. That is a good movie.
2025.
Can we agree the third one's the worst?
I think it's misunderstood, but it's definitely not the best one of the three. But I didn't mind that one. It's just so many years
The Batman Part 2 is actually coming out in October next year.
Really?
Yeah.
That fast?
I guess.
Jeez.
Came out, what,
Last
22,
year?
though?
Was it 22?
Yeah, it came out in 22.
Yeah. I mean,
Jeez.
3 years.
Holy crap.
Dang, time flies.
It
Oh,
does
did
fly.
you know at the beginning monologue where he's like Thursday, October 31st? It was Thursday, October 31st
That's when they
last
released
week.
it. Oh,
No, like that's so in the movie he's got like a journal
yeah.
entry. And at the beginning of the movie he's like Thursday, October 31st.
Yes.
And so last week it was Thursday, October 31st.
Ah.
And we won't have another Thursday, October 31st until 2030, I think.
Maybe they've got something
Yep.
planned.
And then Wednesday, because there was another entry in there where he said Wednesday, November 6th.
Oh.
And so this was Wednesday, November 6th.
I wonder if they're... interesting.
So we are living in the year of the Batman.
Of the Batman. Oh. Scary. Oh, careful. The Penguin's going to come get
Have you seen that show?
No.
It's actually a really good show.
I want to see it. But so... I noticed that with the new Batmans, I've always liked the fantasy, not the fantasy element, but some of the sci-fi stuff. Like, I like how bizarre the older Batman worlds are. Like, I love the 90s cartoon. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And there's something that feels more about this Batman world it feels closer to reality.
Yeah, that
You know, like the
that
Penguin
was their-
doesn't have the
yeah.
nose and...
Yeah, that was their goal, is to make them grounded. Because, I mean, fantasy and all that stuff, that's Marvel's,
Yeah.
you know? And I feel like what DC wanted to do is try to go that way, but it didn't really work out for them.
Yeah.
And so, like Christopher Nolan and Matt Reeves, I'm glad they gave them, free will to do whatever they want,
Yeah.
because they both brought like a different view, or their view of what Batman is.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed both of them.
Yeah, and I think that,
Like, I really enjoy how you make a superhero like really grounded.
yeah.
Like, any billionaire could go out there and,
Yeah.
be this.
Yeah, like I was
So-
going to say about Batman just not actually having any superpowers is kind of cool. More challenging.
Yeah, so
Like, I've never understood the Superman stuff where, you can pretty much just do it every once. It's not very fun.
sounds fun to me. That'd be cool. That'd be
Look
a
out
cool
for-
Superman. I
Look
think I
out for
should be.
kryptonite.
I think I'd be cool. I
Oh.
think I'd be cool Superman.
Vincent's kryptonite would be B&H card.
Yeah.
It already is. I don't think
Same.
I don't think that's a debatable question. I think that's pretty
Avoid the debt.
too late.
Too late.
Debt is on my plate.
Oh.
All right. Misconceptions about movie writers.
Well, I think there's a lot just as far as being a fan of things. I think they're underappreciated. I think that's why, people strike all the time. I mean, you can't make a good movie without a good story, but writing isn't glamorous at all. I mean, I remember growing up wanting to write and seeing the fruits of somebody's labor, but not seeing their labor. And I didn't even really recently just break out of that idea until a few years ago, where it's just like anything else. You just have to get up and write it and do it. And just because something appears to be pretty cool on the screen is not, it's really tough to write. You have to be very educated. You have to be aware of what's going on around you. Otherwise you'll just appear tone deaf, So you do have to be introspective, you have to be inspective, and you have to be focused. There's not a lot of room. There's a lot of writers out there right now on writing, like Twitter, screenwriting Twitter, for instance, is just, it's a really close-knit community, and there are a lot of people out there on Twitter, thousands of people who write all of the time, and they will never make it. And they're not bad writers. you know, there's so much kind of stacked against screenwriting specifically. You're beholden to investors and what makes money. There's only so many writers that get a chance to take a crack at a Marvel movie, you know, because that's all they put in theaters now. So
I think writers are under appreciated, but when something goes wrong, they're sometimes the first ones to get the most hate.
yeah, it's true because I look at True Detective. The worst part is especially when you can write, like the newest season of True Detective. I enjoyed it, but it would have been better as a standalone thing. Like they kept trying to make all these call outs, and it's really easy to telegraph a twist with bad writing. And more often than not, that happens. You know, they're just like, well, this is campy, this is ridiculous, this is full of plot holes, this is just a rushed endeavor to get something, you know. They do deserve some of the blame, but it also, I think, you'd have to lean on a showrunner that puts their foot down and says, hey, look, this sucks, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you look at The Acolyte, we talked about that one day, Vinny. You look at all this stuff, like, most things in the Star Wars universe now aren't that good. They're just not very well thought out.
Mm-mm.
I think that's pretty common knowledge at this point. I think
Mhm.
I don't know who's actually interested in some of the new Star Wars stuff,
Yeah, it sucks.
other than, you know, some fat dude that's probably 40 years old,
Yeah.
living in his mom's basement, still has, like, you know, Lego sets.
Hey, I got Lego sets.
I know, but like this guy, fat dude,
I think
drinking-
that
drinking Mountain Dew every day.
I honestly loved Star Wars growing up, but I still like it now if they would do it justice, but I think that there's just a overall general fatigue for Star Wars. Like, there's been so much of it now, and I think it's just kind of time to say, all right, you can let this go. It's time to retire this and put your money into something new. Because there was a time where Star Wars didn't exist. You know, somebody took a chance. George Lucas spent a lot of time building that world, and there's other people out there, there's other writers that are out there building really great worlds that people would probably very much enjoy, but they just cannot come off of this fan base. I mean,
What is your favorite project of newer Star Wars, like Disney Star Wars, like show or movie? I don't know about
I didn't
movies, but I
mind.
didn't like the movies.
Yeah, because the new trilogy was just pretty much a repeat of the original trilogy, and I liked the first season of The Mandalorian. Okay,
Really good season.
I didn't watch season 2, and I heard Andor was pretty good, but everything else I couldn't bring myself to watch. So it's like, it sucks. It's like, well, how do you know it's bad? I'm like, well, I think a Star Wars fan that's an avid Star Wars fan can probably tell you, like, no, if you're going in there and expecting what you've always expected from Star Wars, you're not going to get it. Like, all right, well, I trust that. I trust that opinion, you know? But I did like the first season of The Mandalorian. That's as far as I've gotten with Star Wars lately. What about you?
Rogue One and Endor.
Yeah, Rogue One's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, Rogue One was really good.
And do you see, though, where it fits? You know what I mean? It's like, it fits within the world that you're already very familiar with. It fits within, you know, the same sort of overall feel and point of the Star Wars world. I think a lot of this stuff is just being used to explore bizarre themes that most people don't really care about. And
I feel like it wasn't super over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was tastefully. There was enough action in there, but enough downtime for you to build anticipation for those moments instead of just throwing it all in your face.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I first heard they were making Rogue One and there was going to be no lightsabers involved, I was like, but lightsabers are Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know, I had that mentality. But I watched Rogue One and I was like, you know, this is probably the best Star Wars they've had in years.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
There
like,
was one lightsaber.
Yeah. No,
there
that
was
was
one.
that
Was
was a
that-
sick scene.
That was it Gareth Edwards that did Rogue One? What was the director's name? I think it was
don't know
Gareth
the
Edwards.
director. I know Greg Fraser did the cinematography.
Yeah.
Okay.
and where the one red saber or Darth Vader scene, that same scene is kind of similar to the scene where the Batman is, where he's getting shot at in the corridor.
Yeah.
Yep.
Same.
And he just appears.
Yeah, where it's just a silhouette, and Darth Vader, it's the lightsaber that has all the light, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the Batman, it's the muscle flashes from the gun. So
Yeah.
it's actually pretty cool how they did that.
Is it Gareth Edwards?
Gareth Edwards. Yep.
See, Gareth Edwards has got some really good stuff. I do not know why they're not leaning on Gareth Edwards, because he did. I think Gareth Edwards did The Creator, didn't he?
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah, he did Creator.
Gareth Edwards and he's also got a movie, one of his first movies called Monsters.
Yeah, he did Monsters, Godzilla, Rogue One.
He's done
Creator.
all of his stuff is really good.
Yeah.
He understands how to pull it all together. Godzilla was good.
The first or the newer Godzilla?
The newer Godzilla that started the
Monsterverse.
Monsterverse.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It was good. And then if you haven't seen Monsters, his first, because it's similar to what you're saying about Rogue One, you kind of see where he actually leans on slower moments to build anticipation. And, because you have to kind of give a crap about the people that are being put into these situations. It can't just be fanfare, Yeah. And he's really good. He shows a lot of that skill with character development in Monsters.
That's what it's saying here. It says Edwards is known for his ability to deliver stunning visual effects while maintaining a focus on the character-driven narratives. His films often use minimalism and realism to enhance the emotional engagement.
Yeah, I think y'all would enjoy it. I remember seeing Monsters. I think he filmed it for a few $100,000 on a guerrilla-style shoot where they went down into Mexico. And in his mind, he would film, if you ever see the behind the scenes, he talks about just like knowing that I didn't have much of an opportunity to plan, so I'd just be I would be just very aware of the fact that if I'm going wide, that somewhere in the shot probably is going to have a special effect. So he was always figuring out where that subtle special effect could go, just to kind of like with the tower in the Pastor, is like just where we can subtly add something that's very low budget but does enough to change the
That's
entire
enough weight to the image.
to the image. That's like, oh, this is a completely different world. Monsters it's one of the coolest movies I had seen in a while when I was when it came out.
I haven't seen it. I'm
Oh,
gonna cue
man.
it up real quick.
Yeah, y'all'd love it. And of course, it was actually pretty successful for a little low budget film, and I think Magnet distributed it. And
Monster or Monsters?
Monsters.
When did it come out?
Try maybe in the early 2010s. Could have been before that too.
Is it the 6 years ago NASA discovered does it have alien life within our solar system?
Let's see. That's it right there, 2010. So yeah, it was right at 2010. That's when I graduated high school.
That's when what's the other movie by Neil came out? District 9?
I love Neil Blomkamp.
Yeah.
Did you see District 9?
I love that movie.
Yeah, District 9 is
Yeah, I
sick.
have.
Neil Blomkamp, for a while, he was tapped to do an alien film.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I just think that those are good directors, Gareth Edwards and Neil Blomkamp. Now, I think Neil Blomkamp's issue is that from what I have seen, because he did Elysium with Matt Damon, he did District 9. I think he's got one
Chappie.
more, Chappie.
That's a really good one.
And I liked
it.
Chappie. Chappie was fun. But I think that I've seen some people complain about writing from Neil Blomkamp's angle, but still, he's good. I would have loved to see him take on an alien movie, because I saw some of the concept sketches and stuff like that, and he actually did some stuff on YouTube with Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, which the new Aliens movie is really good. Romulus,
Yeah, like
it's really
Romulus
good.
is cool. I saw the Critical Drinker break down where, he was like, look, here's where I would have changed about Romulus, and I actually did agree with his like the changes he would have made. I do agree. I was actually really surprised. Like, that actually would have made it much better. But I liked Romulus. They're probably going to do another one.
Back to District 9. Did you know District 9 was a experiment
Really?
with the CGI?
Oh, really?
They were experimenting with CGI. I forgot for what movie it was. I think it was a James Cameron movie.
Was it Avatar?
I think so. I think it was for Avatar. But yeah, they so there was an interview that he did. He's like, the aliens are not. He didn't want the aliens to be the main focus.
Yeah.
So like that's why like the aliens are just there.
Yeah.
You know. And I mean, obviously, you got what's his name, the main alien.
Well, I don't remember his name,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, but it's more driven off of the guy that became an alien.
yeah, the Charlotte.
But yeah, it's like, so what he had said is also due to budget. Like he didn't want the aliens to be the main thing, but it was a really good film.
I just loved what they did with it.
Yeah, it's like every other movie, it's like the aliens are here to kill us and stuff like that. And in that movie, it's like the aliens are the minorities.
Yeah, and so I was gonna say, where it's almost like it obviously has like this bent towards like the idea of minority status and immigration, things like that. And it's like, how would we, like, if aliens did come in peace, then what do you do?
Yeah.
You know, like somebody touches down from another planet and they're like, no, we really do come in peace. No, you don't. Oh, actually we do. We're just kind of like here. So like, well, crap, this changes our narrative, you know?
And then they're just trying to they're on vacation or something. They're like,
Right?
well, this is a cool place. Let's see what
Cool
these people are
spot.
like. Come down and get shot.
Yeah.
Or get out.
Do not come to Earth. These people are psychopaths. They're psychos. They've got whales and tanks at a place called SeaWorld. Fins all flipped over and depressed.
Well, I looked up biggest struggles for an upcoming film production company. It's depressing.
Oh, yeah. Money.
But the cool thing, the biggest thing is money. Secure funding is
Money.
That's the biggest. That's number one.
And it doesn't
It does
matter.
have the challenge, and then it has the solution at the bottom. So it says the solution. Many emerging companies start by producing lower budget films or documentaries, or they seek co-production partnerships. Crowdfunding platforms like Kickstarter and pitching to private investors can also help raise capital.
Yep. And it works sometimes. Sometimes it works, but
Just
it's
who's
a lot
on
of work.
Kickstarter actually sitting there with their wallet ready to go.
You'd be surprised because, I told you Jeremy Sonia did Blue Ruin. He funded that on a Kickstarter campaign, at least part of his movie.
Yeah.
There's some people that have had some success with it.
You got to have a good pitch, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Building a reputation and credibility.
Shit.
Companies can start by producing short films, indie projects, or partnering with more established companies. Winning awards at film festivals or creating a viral, successful project can help build credibility. Yeah, no shit. Navigating competitive industry. I would argue that it's not as competitive as people make it out to be. I feel like it's less competitive.
I think so too.
I don't think it's hard to get ahead of a lot of these people.
Oh, neither, because look at it even in our area alone. You're talking about an entire county where there's hardly a filmmaker anywhere to be found. Yeah. I mean, there's some people that play around with cameras, but I would generally say that from a group of people that have the ability to actually make a film in our county, we're probably the only one. You know what I mean? We have crew. We definitely have crew. We have writing. We have equipment. We have good ideas. But, I mean, how many filmmakers do you think there are in each county in Alabama that are genuinely pushing forward? I don't know that many.
No, there might be a couple, but they're like up and coming, and
yeah.
And it's always hard to pick those people out of the crowd because you usually have a lot of people that are interested in working for you. Yeah. Or want your advice on everything, and it's just like, well, are you worth my time? Because Blake's talked about this too. There's so many people that come up to you, and you invest a lot of your time because you're excited for them because you remember the point in your career or passion that at some point you were the same way they were. Mm-hmm. But then you'll see them fizzle out, and then it's just all that time for nothing.
Yeah, I never had good luck with people when I'd go ask for feedback, so I just stopped.
Yeah.
I'd get to the point where,
as far as creative, because it's hard to ask a creative advice.
Yeah, because they're not business minded.
No,
it's not like, hey, here's a roadmap to how you can be successful.
Yeah, and honestly, if you're given a roadmap as a creative, then are you really a creative? Probably not. You have to be somewhat creative about the way you're learning. This is an interesting one: legal and contractual issues.
Oh yeah.
Film production involves many legal complexities, including contracts with actors, directors, crew, and distributors, as well as intellectual property rights. Emerging companies may lack the legal expertise to navigate these issues.
Happens all the time. There's a really good attorney in Birmingham, Stacey Davis. She works with A24 on a lot of their projects as like a legal advisor, counselor for stuff. She's very good at what she does. So that's one thing I know about Birmingham. We've got a really good entertainment attorney. She's very good people.
Just make friends with them so we can be in some A24 films.
Yeah, I mean, I know Stacey. She's good. She's very focused. She's definitely an attorney. You know what I mean? Like, she's very focused on what she does. So she doesn't bullshit with you. She doesn't waste time. But she's good. They did that. She's done a lot of stuff. She's done a lot of stuff for A24, if I'm not mistaken.
What's your favorite A24 film?
The Witch.
The Witch.
Yep. Robert Eggers, I think, is really good. I loved the I just think he's really good. I think between Robert Eggers and like what's his name that did Hereditary, Ari Aster. I really like Hereditary. It's traumatizing. But I think that Eggers has got Nosferatu, the remake, coming out. Oh my gosh. I cannot wait to see it. It's going to be good. He's just so good with horror. The Witch was just like obviously a really good folktale.
What's that movie with Adam Sandler that he does with that he did for A24? Trying to look
Uncut Gems?
Yes.
Oh,
was that A24?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
the Safdie brothers. If you've ever watched their stuff, the Safdie brothers. I think they've since split now. But they
Josh and Benny Safdie.
Yeah, they're good. Benny Safdie's so talented. He's really talented. Great actor, really good director. But I like the Safdie brothers a lot. Do y'all remember Casey Neistat?
Mm-hmm.
On
I
YouTube?
still watch him.
Yeah.
He's back.
So the cool thing about Casey Neistat was actually a producer or an executive producer on the Safdie brothers' first film. I think it's called Daddy Longlegs that they did. It was a feature film. I think it was the Safdie brothers' first feature film, and he was one of the people that helped pull it together for them. I used to love watching Casey Neistat.
I still watch him.
I need to. I didn't know that he was doing stuff
Yeah,
again.
so he had quit YouTube and moved to L.A., realized he hated it over there, moved back to New York, rebought his old studio
space.
Started everything back again.
Man, his studio space was so cool.
Yeah.
You talk about like a wonder emporium.
Yeah, so Safdie Brothers movies, Good Time.
It's fun. If you like Robert Pattinson, check out Good Time. That one's awesome.
He's a really good actor.
He's great, man.
He
is good.
Uncut
so-
Gems.
People only know him because of Twilight.
I know. I'm so glad. I mean, he's starting to shake that, luckily.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's so good.
Lenny Cook.
Yeah, they did a documentary on Lenny Cook, who was in the same class as LeBron James, I believe, and there were people that talked about how Lenny Cook was actually the better player, but just kind of not as devoted, obviously. So it's sort of the downfall. Get your hands on some of that Safdie brothers. Come on down to Safdie brothers. Yes. What are you looking at?
All right, any other topics you guys want to talk about?
No. I don't think so. There's the smolder. You got something you want to say?
What's the time on
You
that?
got about 30 seconds.
Till it cuts off?
Till 29.
Till 29.99 or whatever it is,
Yeah.
or 29.
Yeah, 29.
5.9.
Yeah.
All right, squeeze it in. Something real quick. 30 seconds. Go.
You got 20.
Thank y'all for watching. That was our little filmmakers podcast for the day.
Awesome. Thanks for coming.
You'll see lots of clips.
Everywhere. Just spam. All right.
That's actually pretty good.
Not bad.